everyone. Before we start, John's done it again. Water Ambassador Award for Quality Water Services. Todd, I think, introduce you here, and you're going to present the award to myself and John, I guess.
Very good.
Yep.
Well, if I look familiar, I was here, maybe 6 or 7, 8 short months ago, last November. So as the mayor had mentioned, John's done it again. He's got the Gold Water Ambassador Award from ISAWWA. We were trying to figure out how many we've gotten here in Normal, and I think that it might be 4. So the program itself is set up by the state organization of the ISAWWA. We've got about 2,400 members across the state. We're the 4th largest section of the American Water Works in the nation. So it's a pretty hardy section, well represented. And this was kind of a novel idea. I think we're the only state in the nation that has a program like this, but the intent of it is to elevate public perception and knowledge of the water industry. So this is an industry that most people take for granted. As long as you turn on your faucet, water looks good, tastes good, right? So everybody's good with that, but even locally, you've seen what happens when water doesn't look so good or taste so good, or if there's a main break and there's not an adequate quantity. So we've always been out of sight, out of mind. We're trying to get more proactive and really show everybody what the value of the product we have delivering here, the value of the product we're delivering here in Illinois. So congratulations to the town of Normal. This is a big deal, and the gold standard is the highest standard for an award, for this award. There's a silver and a bronze too, but John again overachieved, and he's a gold member, right? All right, congratulations.
All right.
Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Nope. You want another picture?
We'll begin in a moment. Call to order a meeting for the Normal Town Council for August 18th, 2025. Please call the roll.
Mayor Coos.
Here.
Mr. Preston.
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz. Here. Mr. Byers.
Here.
Mr. Roberge.
Here.
Ms. Smith. Here. Mr. McCarthy.
Here. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance of the United States of America, for which it stands, one God, indivisible, with all. We have one public commenter tonight before we get into the omnibus agenda and that. Mr. Rabio Zenga has got some comments to make here tonight. Just a quick housekeeping. Please do state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
All right, thank you. My name is Rabio Singa. I live at 5 Kent Drive, Normal, Illinois. Good evening, Mayor Coos, members of the Town Council, and town staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight in support of the approvals set before you regarding the 210 Mulberry Street, the former Campus Religious Center property. I serve as the Vice President of Business Development for Catalyst Construction, as well as have been helping to lead this project and this redevelopment. The vision for this project is to create a long-term presence on campus that not only preserves this historic property, but also meaningfully serves students and the community. It will serve as a hub of community and hospitality, providing a safe, inclusive space where friendships can form and life can be shared. It will also be a center for service and leadership, equipping students to give back and grow in character. And it is also worth noting that this space will also house a counseling center to care for the very real mental, emotional, and personal needs of today's college students. In short, this building will be a home for growth, connection, and service that extends beyond the campus and into the community. From day one, our design team, including BLDD and Aldea Engineering, has worked closely with town staff to ensure that the project aligns with the broader goals of the town of Normal and its comprehensive plan, sustainability plan, and in light of our community's broader mental health initiatives. The result is a thoughtful design that both meets the organization's needs and enhances the site through improved green spaces, including engaging front entrance and a reimagined courtyard that not only add beauty and functionality to this highly trafficked location on campus in our community, but also add to the community value for everyone who comes and participates. We recognize that part of what's before you tonight are variances related to this green space and parking requirements. These requests were not made lightly. In order to meet the needs of the organization, the building addition had to be placed at the front of the building, and that decision preserved the existing parking to the north while creating a new welcoming front door to the campus off of Mulberry on the south. And rather than diminishing outdoor space, this design dramatically enhances it, offering a vibrant courtyard and landscaped frontage that are both beautiful and highly usable. This project also represents a significant private investment in a building that might otherwise have been demolished and replaced. Instead, we are preserving and reusing the structure, which honors the town's sustainability plan and reduces unnecessary waste by repurposing rather than demolishing. In short, this project is a balance, meeting the functional needs of the Encounter Campus Ministry, our clients, while enhancing the beauty, sustainability, and vitality of this property for the campus and the community. So on behalf of our entire team, I want to thank you again for your time, your thoughtful consideration, and ultimately your yes vote on the approval of this meaningful project. Thank you.
Thank you. We move to the omnibus agenda, items considered routine in nature and would be acted upon by one vote unless council member would like to pull an item for discussion. Ms. Smith?
I'd like to pull item F.
Motion for
Move approval. Second.
items considered on the omnibus tonight. Excuse me. Our approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of August 4th, 2025. Report to receive and file town of Normal expenditures for payment as of August 13th, 2025. A resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with Illinois State University pertaining to fire protection service. An ordinance amending the town liquor code having to do with the Illinois Art Station. A resolution to waive the bid process and approve the purchase of park and park amenity signs from Prairie Signs Incorporated for $76,978 and an associated budget adjustment. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Sorry. Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Those items are approved. Item F is a resolution to accept the bid and award a contract to Stark Excavating Incorporated for the Eagles Landing Basin Shoreline Remediation Project in the amount of $524,128.16.
Move for approval.
Second.
Ms. Smith?
Yes, in reading through the support behind this proposed resolution, I see it kind of personifies that no good deed should go unpunished, because if you look through it, we declined a similar bid last year and went to work with sharp pencils and erasers, and only to find out that the cost had changed. Could you provide a little more background on that, Ms. Reese?
Yes, last year, we bid this project and came to council in June of 2024, asking council to reject bids because it was over budget at $516,500 or so. And we wanted time to modify the scope of the project. We rebid the project, and the modified scope, intended to reduce costs, did result in higher costs because it's a year later and costs have gone up. We did budget more this year. I do want to say that this modified scope, though, we are very pleased with. The bid details contained more specific expectations on how the successful bidder would get the job done in terms of the type of equipment, the size of equipment, and how to access the detention basin. So we think the end result will still be better, even though it's higher than what we had hoped for.
And what's the timetable for starting it and then completing it?
Construction is planned to begin yet this fall and expected to take about 45 days.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Further on the item? Please call the roll.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. That resolution is approved. We have a number of items on general orders tonight. The first is a resolution approving an amended site plan with special use permit for ground-mounted solar panels at Heartland Community College.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion on this item. Please call the roll.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, that resolution is approved. Item 8 is an ordinance rezoning property in the town of Normal, Interchange City West subdivision, south and east of the intersection of Wiley Drive and West Hovey.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion. Please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, the ordinance is approved. Item 9 is an ordinance rezoning property in the town of Normal having to do with 210 West Mulberry.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. Please call the roll.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, that ordinance is approved and having to do with the same property, a resolution approving a site plan.
Move approval. Second.
Discussion. Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, the resolution is approved. 2 items of new business tonight. First is an ordinance authorizing boundary modifications to the area known as the Bloomington Normal Enterprise Zone.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion on this or comments? Nope. Please call the roll.
Wait a minute.
Oh, Ms. Lorenz.
Hello. Yes, I actually have quite a few questions, so I'll put them out there, and whether we need to bring forward our economic development person, I'll let you be the decision of that. So we are changing the area known as the Bloomington Normal Enterprise Zone. That was pretty well laid out in the report. What I'd like to have a better understanding is, because there's some deletions and there's some additions, we're deleting about, is this acreage, the 95.95?
Yes. Yes, between Mr. Day and Mr. Duffel, who've worked on this report, and myself, hopefully we can answer all your questions. So Mr. Duffel is here at the table as well.
Great. Okay, so then we are adding 300 and some, almost 400.
342, I believe.
Correct.
Okay. So what is the proportion of, like, we're adding 342, Bloomington's adding 77. That seems a big variance. Why are we adding so much compared to others?
Sure, yeah. The big reason we wanted to take advantage of going through the amendment process one time and not having to go through it multiple times. It can be kind of lengthy with having to have all of the taxing bodies who participate in the enterprise zone approve amended boundary ordinance every time. And so we wanted to take one swing at it and really include all of the properties that we saw in the immediate future as potential development opportunities.
What kind of time frame are you looking at in terms when you say immediate future? Is this a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, or more?
Yeah, I would say it probably 1 to 3 years. I think the properties were targeted as properties that had active discussions on development opportunities.
Okay, so there are lots of parcels. I'm not going to ask you parcel by parcel because I'm sure I'd run out of time. But could you go through the main areas, perhaps the largest of the areas of the 342, and give us a general understanding of what you see developing in that area? So for instance, Heather Ridge, 88 acres. What's the plan there?
Sure. I'm not sure there's any specific plans at the moment. I think for me specifically, I identified sites that were immediately adjacent to the town of Normal's boundaries, or either in the town of Normal itself, that were identified as best infill opportunities that could quickly be converted into something for maybe residential development or surrounding similar uses.
So many, and I'm going to jump in, many of these areas that are on the list, actually, we had started putting together our list of potential growth areas a number of years ago when Mr. Hansen was still here. He started working on this. And so Mr. Duffel picked it up when he joined the team. And so the areas I think we've identified in almost districts, North Normal, Northwest Normal, West, things like that. So some residential areas have already been considered and have yet undeveloped. West College Avenue, West Hovey, that area. Other locations are areas where we've received inquiries, or maybe we received some federal earmarks for future growth. So we've pulled in certain areas in anticipation of growth and development to be ready for developers who come to the table and ask what do they get if they develop in a certain area.
Right.
So one of these, actually maybe two of the areas, are areas that have already had a developer come and it's been action taken by this council to approve it. Are we looking to retroactively place it now in the enterprise zone to help them get that started?
Well, it wouldn't be retroactively. Their property would be added to the enterprise zone if council and all the taxing bodies approve this. They haven't started construction yet, though.
Right.
So they would get the benefit of the enterprise zone incentives.
Okay. Okay, I think that it seems like a lot of property, 340 acres, to see much development in 1 to 3 years, if that's in fact your time frame. Is there a downside to the fact that only a percentage, and maybe not a large percentage, will actually develop? I mean, that just seems like a short amount of time to be attacking 350 acres.
Well, I'm going to jump in and then you can add to it. I think the downside is the timeline. If we have a prospective developer come forward with a site in mind, the timeline to go through this process to amend the enterprise zone can take up to a year. So we would rather have our enterprise zone boundaries be encompassing so that we can work with a prospective developer and tell them in advance, if you come in, these sites are already in the enterprise zone. They qualify for enterprise zone benefits. It just takes unnecessary timeline off their project in the future. So we've 1 to 3 years, I think, is incredibly optimistic. We've had this enterprise zone for decades. So it could be 1 year, 3 years, or frankly, it could be 10 or 15. But at least we know in our economic development website, the Economic Development Council, and all of our partners will be able to promote the the ready-to-go sites in terms of this particular incentive package.
Okay, I don't think it's going to change my vote at all. I mean, obviously, I do support economic development, so, this has my support. It feels like it's lacking some detail, and perhaps through future conversations, we can better understand where are we going? And in particular, on housing. I see a lot of these are for, well, some of them are for residential areas. And so, what's our plan? Is it more apartments? Is it missing middle? Is it permanent supportive housing? Is it, all the things? Those would be some of the things personally I'd be interested in. I think we as a body need to keep a finger on the pulse of our housing development. That continues to be a problem, as well as beyond housing, whatever commercial or other industrial development. So more information at a future upcoming date would be requested.
I'm not sure how to respond to that. I understand you want more information. The enterprise zone doesn't dictate how a property is going to develop. So we wouldn't have a position on whether or not these 342 acres would be multifamily or single family. This is simply a development incentive tool that is used for commercial, industrial, historically, and now potentially residential developments. So it provides an opportunity for a developer who might be looking at Bloom to Normal to say, in all of these undeveloped areas, here's what's currently in their adopted enterprise zone. I know I'll get the sales tax abatement if it's, residential, or if it's industrial or commercial, they can say, I know I'll get all these other incentives. So, how a property develops in terms of its zoning or its use is a whole separate conversation. So we can have that conversation, but that's more in terms of land use planning. This is really an economic development incentive tool. If council's uncomfortable with the fact that we've tried to be broad and add in 342 acres while other taxing body partners may have decided to use less, I can't they had an opportunity to add more and just chose not to. I can't explain why, but really this has been an incentive that, in an effort to modify our enterprise zone boundaries, that all of us have been working on for about 9 to 12 months. So.
Fine.
Are you done?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
If I can just expand on some of the discussions to date, I do know that when Patrick Hoban presents discussions of potential projects coming to the community, they're giving code names because we may be in competition with other communities, and the fact that this is a broad indication of our openness to some support for new development of whatever type, I think is a good thing. And as Ms. Rees pointed out, we're not dictating the end use of any of these parcels, but we're providing a tool. And I do see that one of them is Infinity Point, which came before this council, and to our knowledge, no shovel has gone into the ground to start any construction there, but hopefully this kind of incentive may provide hope to the developer. Okay, this is the piece I was missing. I think we're ready to move forward then.
Further on this item? Mr. McCarthy?
Thanks, Mayor. I appreciate that we're doing this. We don't have to look too far in our history where we had a local project, unfortunately, not check with us and was not included in the enterprise zone and cost them a pretty penny in sales tax and other potential incentives that we lost because they didn't realize that their property was not in an enterprise zone and didn't approach us about amending our boundaries. So effectively, we're advertising to the development community, hey, we're open for business, and here's some sites where you can potentially save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, particularly as we're talking about construction costs going up, supply chain problems, guaranteeing, trying to lock in prices at today versus 3 days from now when it's 10% more. And so these kind of incentives can really make a difference in projects and can make the difference between go and no-go. So I'm excited that we're being as proactive as we are about it, and hopefully it helps some of the projects that are already been in front of us but haven't moved forward yet. Thank you.
Further on this item. Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. That ordinance is approved. Item 12 is a presentation on the status of our 2023 strategic plan. And Jacob, I think
Yeah.
you're our designee here. Get us up to speed on that.
Mr. Smith is going to be reviewing our strategic plan, where we are in the plan implementation, primarily because we're on the cusp of getting ready to update our strategic plan, have in-depth conversations with council yet this fall, and Center for Governmental Studies as our consultant on what our strategic plan update should look like starting in 2026. So we wanted to share some information with you on where we're at currently. And Mr. Smith, as soon as he can get his presentation up, will show us a lovely PowerPoint with technical support is on the way.
Tell me what I'm doing. Not prepared to Vanna White around the room with my laptop, but I will.
And it's worth the wait. I'm just going to say it's worth the wait. So.
Sorry about that.
A lot of hand gestures, Jacob.
Give me just one call.
Thumbs up. Oh, it flipped. Peek behind the curtain. I do have notes.
Jacob, you only get 15 minutes. The clock's running. No.
I am cheating. All right, that's fine. I'm going to go without my notes. So we'll see how much of this I have off the top of my head. So thank you all. Thank you, City Manager Reese, Mayor, and Council for letting me take a moment tonight to just dive in on the goals of our strategic plan, specifically diving into some of the history since we last updated the plan in 2023, the progress we've made so far, and a few of staff's kind of lessons learned and focuses as we're getting ready to plan and move ahead towards that 2026 plan. So to kick it off, again, I'll start with some of what we did in 2023, prepping up for the plan that we have in place now and how that was laid out. As a refresher, in 2022, we started working for Northern Illinois University, the Center for Governmental Studies there, to develop the plan that was ultimately finalized and adopted in 2023. A variety of stakeholders, staff, council, and other meetings were held at that time to help develop strategic priorities and goals, ultimately resulting in our plan, which has 4 strategic priority areas, 28 goals, and was set to get us through this point here in 2026, or soon in 2026. Those 4 strategic priority areas that were highlighted in the plan were innovative economic growth, infrastructure and core services, organizational effectiveness, and community engagement and development. These serve as umbrella goals. These were really focused in on by the stakeholder sessions and conversations by council, and these captured common themes between the goals, kind of priorities similar to what exists in the comprehensive plan that capture the overall focus of what the town was looking to achieve over the 3 to 5 years of the plan. We also had 28 goals, as I mentioned, and we broke those goals out into 4 subcategories based on complexity and length of time. We have short-term routine goals, which are more of your not everyday tasks. Again, these are high priority items that the town was looking to achieve, but goals that the town wanted to focus on as something we're doing in the short term regularly. Short-term complex goals, which are things that are right on the horizon, like Fire Station 2, for example. It's a big goal to get done, but we knew when we wanted to focus on it, we wanted to get to it. Long-term routine goals, which can be more of your complexities, lots of infrastructure, lots of zoning type adjacent items. And then long-term complex goals, which are your big projects, Uptown Normal, underpass, infrastructure solutions, Fire Station 3 in the long horizon, etc. From there, we took those goals and we built out some internal dashboards to help us work more collaboratively, as well as capture more information on those goals. So we could have better updates, keep all members of the team in the loop on the same things, and move things efficiently. Here's an example of one of the administration team's overview dashboards that gives a high-level view of which goals are sorted by which department and their progress. I'll come back to progress on those individual goals in just a moment. And here's an example of our communications team's dashboard where they break down their goal of citizen engagement. Shows where their goal is categorized as an ongoing goal, some of their other secondary goals, and their most recent updates. Then one other initiative that we launched with the plan was council action alignment and tracking. As I mentioned, the strategic priority areas have been a great way to kind of capture the goal and the spirit and the essence of what we were trying to do with the strategic plan process. What was council focused on achieving with the plan, and what work we're doing. As we know, we have council meetings every couple of weeks, and a lot of work is done maybe outside of those 28 goals. So staff started categorizing all action from the beginning of fiscal year 24 to present day as they align with strategic priority areas. Something like the Eagle Ridge basin work would be maybe considered infrastructure, right? Making sure that's infrastructurally sound. To date, 91% of goals that have been brought forth to council fall in or relate to one of those strategic priority areas. We're doing this for a couple of reasons. One, to better help us understand how much of that work is tying to our plan, making sure we understand how things are evolving organizationally. But it also really helps us to align on a few of our other initiatives, like What Works Cities or GFOA budget process, to say, look, the money and the time and the technologies we're using really are leading to work that gets to council and ultimately does become a decision that is made for the community and impacts the community. Here I have these broken out a little bit more for both fiscal year 25 on the left and then fiscal year 26 on the right, showing how things break out by categorical area. As a reminder, fiscal year 26, we are still right in the middle of, so that one is still in progress. Therefore, the numbers are a little bit lower, but you can see that we're making really strong progress on those areas, and we had a ton of items that tied in well, especially on the matters of like infrastructure and core services, where we've done a lot of work in the last 3 years. Now jumping into discussion of those individual items by status, I wanted to start with a quick overview. To date, we have 4 complete goals, 13 in progress, 4 that aren't started, and 7 that are ongoing. To To jump in on ongoing goals, ongoing items, because these are a little unique, I wanted to highlight this. These are repeated or frequent tasks that may not have a concrete goal for completion, where something like build a fire station is going to result in a fire station. Increasing citizen engagement efforts isn't really something we want to say we're done and stop doing. So this has been a great way to categorize these goals to say, look, we've made great progress, we've tracked that progress, we're reporting it in the plan, but there's going to be more to come. We're not going to want to say we're done engaging with citizens or we're done improving arts, for example. As a refresher, those are those 7 goals: citizen engagement, art plan, facilities, and like PACER, surface evaluation, are some of those examples. In terms of our not started items, we had 4 items that have not yet been started. These are all largely due to timing being such a massive factor for strategic success. So still on the horizon, likely ones that will be in conversation as we kick off that 2026 planning process. We have 4 items that are complete. 2 of these we touched on February at the last update. Those 2 from February being pension goals as well as workplace scheduling evaluation. So I'm not going to get too much into those. We do have 2 new goals from planning and zoning that have been marked as complete. Both a code update from the 2 most recent times that Mercy presented on those, and a large batch of code update items were brought before you for your decision, as well as sustainability efforts. Now, sustainability is one of those that kind of falls between ongoing and more concrete. By marking this as complete, I don't think anyone's trying to say we're done with sustainability at this time. But since the Vision 2050 and Sustainability Plan was adopted, and staff's made a lot of effort to introduce staff committees, work groups, and additional initiatives, the spirit of that goal is to the point where staff feels confident saying we've made some really great progress. Speaking of in progress, we do have 3 items that are on track that I wanted to pull away from the rest of the in progress items because they are very, very close, and you're going to be hearing more from them soon. I'm not going to get too much into these just because don't want to steal thunder from the subject matter experts, nor do I feel that I'm equipped to speak on these items as well as the experts from our team. But I would expect, I've been told that economic development identity items, holistic review of city fee structures, and Fire Station 2 are all right around the corner. So I wanted to make sure those were highlighted for you all. We have a few more in-progress items that are in more of that longer-term focus. These are a variety of timelines, like, for example, PFAS, one of our water goals, is one that we knew was going to be longer-term, expected possibly even out towards the 2030s based on federal or other regulations, where some other ones, such as zoning review or uptown development, could be a little shorter term based on how things develop or what we end up doing. So good progress being made all around there. Happy to discuss any of those as you wish as well. And then on a few closing thoughts in preparation for the 2026 strategic plan, I specifically wanted to highlight 2 things that I think has been a commonality as I've been working with a lot of our team across the municipality. And that is, 1, the strategic priority areas as a framework of the plan to help align goals has been a massive, massive victory for staff. It's really helped us to focus our goals into not only the maybe listed items that were a priority when we launched the plan, but to say, hey, look, we want to keep iterating, we want to keep learning, we want to be able to be nimble when new items come up and react and make sure we're serving the community as things progress while keeping that vision in mind, if you will. And then also a consideration of well-constructed, measurable KPIs or key performance indicators allows us to be just a little more data-driven in our operations. By assigning a good KPI, a good metric to a goal, whenever we are going through the planning process, it helps us to not only say what we're trying to get done, but then follow through on that promise to those that live in Normal, work in Normal, or visit Normal, that, hey, this is how we got it done, and this is why it's effective now. We want to make sure that we marry that through. We have good data to back up what the investment got us or what the decision got us. So I think that pretty well brings us to the end of it. Happy to field any questions, or more accurately, look around the room if you have questions for folks on specific items. And thanks, as always, for letting me provide a quick update.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I did want to highlight in the council's packet, you do have obviously a copy of the PowerPoint at your table, but in your packet on packet pages 12-15 and 12-16, it highlights the 28 specific goals that are in the strategic plan, the current strategic plan. And while we have said, okay, yes, we could say we're done or have reached a significant advancement in 4 of the goals and a bunch are ongoing, I do want to highlight, for example, short-term complex goals, complete fire station number 2. Well, we can't check that off quite yet, but it should be done. Target is October of 2025. Other goals, for example, in the short-term routine, we've got increased citizen engagement. As Mr. Smith indicated earlier, we can talk about all the headway in our efforts that we've made to better engage with residents, to have two-way communication, and our all sorts of things from the normal forum and our newsletter and digital efforts to All About Normal, which is the class we're going to get going for the fall 2025 class soon. So that will never be done. Well, that will constantly be ongoing. Another short-term routine goal, a number of these I could say that we've made a lot of progress, but can't really say, oh, we're done. Review mental health funding and allocations in collaboration with the county. As council knows, that's what we've been discussing particularly in the last 2 months. So not done, but a lot of progress has been made in a number of these areas. I think the timing is right to talk about these, and staff is prepared to answer any questions council might have, but we mainly just wanted to plant the seed, have you start thinking about these things as we get ready to engage with NIU's Center for Governmental Studies in the next few months to do a 2026 strategic plan update. So fire away with your questions, and department heads are ready to jump forward and tell you where they're at on their projects.
Ms. Smith?
I hope I'm not out of line to ask this question now, but do we envision for our upcoming strategic planning program to include the department heads as was done when we developed this strategic plan?
The leadership team would hope that we would be at the table with council. I think we had a really good experience and good dialogue about, and what we anticipate in terms of challenges in our areas in the future, and what council believes is important that we should be focused on.
And the 4 core priorities, at this time, we're looking to continue to focus on those 4, but it would be open to discussion whether or not anything needed to be modified or added.
Absolutely. I think that's been our history when we've gone through a strategic planning process, and we find value in maintaining these particular categories, but we can always tweak, modify, add a new category if appropriate. We are trying to balance all of our many adopted plans and fit in ultimately with our strategic plan so we can track our progress. And as you know, when we're working toward our smart cities, various certifications and progress and use of technology and data-informed decision-making and all these things that we've been talking about in recent years, if we can link our plans and our actions to the strategic plan that council adopts, I think it makes us be able to account for where our dollars are spent, our resources and attention.
And this process will be open to the public?
Well, yes, when council has has your meetings to discuss these things, those will all be public.
That's all I had.
Further questions for staff? Ms. Lorenz?
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy, for pointing me out. Thank you, Mayor. So I do have a couple of questions, maybe specific to the plan. You mentioned sustainability goal that being completed. What exactly was the deliverable on that deemed it complete?
Well, I would invite Ms. Davison forward, but we certainly can say we checked the box on adopting a community-based and community-driven sustainability plan, and then we've taken a number of efforts to implement the plan. So Ms. Davison can talk a little bit about how we're balancing this goal with saying we've done with the strategic plan and identifying priorities and now it's implementation, which will be ongoing forever.
Right. I think that really does cover it really well. The plan is solid. We're working on it. It's a great committee. We all have a lot to report in the coming months. So it's the plan, though, is the foundation. So that's the critical feature that was complete.
Okay, thank you. This next question has to do with water on the PFAS. That has been something that I have asked about. Yes, you did. A number of times at budget, wondering if, how far are we? Do we need to allocate anything more for investment to keep up with the PFAS regulations? I seem to recall that you have indicated that we're still below or on the right side of targets. I'd like to know, maybe not tonight, but I'd like to know on a more regular basis, if this one's in progress, where are we in progress and what does that progress look like?
Yeah, so in calendar year 2024, the U.S. EPA had their UCMR 5 testing, which is the unregulated contaminant monitoring rules. All PFAS, PFOA, essentially that was what we were testing for in all of our finished water. We were required to submit sampling in June of 24 and December of 24. Both those samples, and it was more than a sample, but all of that stuff come back no detect levels for our PFAS. So essentially, it's not currently in our water, in the finished water from the treatment plant.
Okay, so
So
fair. So you've answered the question.
Technically, we
Yeah.
don't have a PFAS
problem
today as it sits.
Okay, very good. Then I think that both of those answers sort of lead me to some comments to consider for the upcoming planning session. So you can, if you want to go back to your and relax, you can, or you're welcome to stay. One, and to the point of the example of the PFAS, is more regular and dynamic readout of progress and what that looks like. The dashboard is a great idea, but I did note that you said it was internal, and that's not been exposed to us on council. So going forward, I think we need to be more dynamic with our readouts, and PFAS is a good example. I think also we need to make clear to the Northern Illinois group that the structure of the goals maybe didn't work out as well for us this time. I know it was the first time that we used them, but to have 28 goals is a lot, okay? Just sort of standard strategic plan thinking. That's a lot to tackle. So we probably want to think about the number. And then we also really need to think about how we structure them. So, to have, and it wasn't many, but to have so many that are not started, or to have so many in progress, I think as I looked at the question or the structure of the goals, they weren't structured in that familiar SMART goal structure. The specific, the measurable, I can't remember the A and the R, but I think the T is time. So we maybe didn't stay disciplined in our exercise with the Northern Illinois folks for that. And I think if we were to do at least those two things, we might end up with a better product. And the last thing I guess I want to say for going forward is that their time to deployment, theirs being the Northern Illinois group, took a long time. We met as a group, I think, in September of 22, September or October of 22, created the 28 items, the different categories of the long and complicated, long, simple. And we didn't really get this document in terms of deployed to us until sometime in '23. I think some of that had to do with maybe some delays on our part for reviewing it. So we need to be prepared for when Northern Illinois comes to us and says, does this draft look good? We as a body here need to be attentive to that and get that turned around in whatever is a reasonable amount of time. But, 60 or 90 days is not a reasonable time. We should be able to look at that in a shorter turnaround. So I would really like to see the time from planning to deployment really reduced so that we can get working on these things, so that a 2026 strategic plan isn't, third quarter of 2026 calendar year before we're actually looking at our to-do list. So that time frame really needs to be, I think, reduced. Those are a couple of my thoughts for going forward. I think they were okay, but I think that experience with them, I think it's good that we're re-engaging them, but I think there's some improvements that can be made with the experience.
I appreciate that. In terms of your suggestion about a dashboard, a more public-facing accounting of our progress is certainly our strategy. Ms. Gadaraju is thrilled that we're even talking about this, because our goal is to put something regarding the strategic plan on our open data system.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not quite ready yet, but hopefully with our 2026 update, we can better work that out. So as council knows, our open data dashboard on our website is growing. We're trying to be strategic and careful and be able to manage it well and have everything governed well in terms of the data that we're putting out there. In this particular process, I think there's a great opportunity to figure out how to show our updates, how our progress, and be accountable for us moving our strategic plan forward. We have our first, regarding Center for Governmental Studies, it was our first experience in 2022 and 2023 with them. It was a great experience in my opinion. It had been a while since we'd gone through a formal strategic planning process. They actually were about 50% faster than our historic process. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be better. So I totally agree with that. I think back in a few years ago, part of the delay was in regard to coordinating with some specific individual schedules and having difficulty getting some of this to the finish line with some council members. And I have tried, I think, a little bit more to keep you up to speed, but we're still, when we look at this with you, it's so high level, because again, 28 goals is hard to sink our teeth into. So as Mr. Smith indicated, what we'd look for in when staff talks with CGS in 2 weeks from now, we have our first conversation with them in terms of laying out the plan for this fall, the timeline, expectations. We're going to specifically talk about narrowing our goals so we can make sure we're delivering outcomes. That's what we want to do, is deliver outcomes, and then also talk about how can we set up key performance indicators? How can we show that we're being accountable?
Great, good, thank you.
Mr. McCarthy?
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your presentation sans notes. Nice job.
Yeah.
It paid off for the computer deletion, so now you're ready for no notes. First of all, I want to say great progress. And I'm not going to ask you to flip back in the slides, but if I'm materially misrepresenting them, please do flip back and correct me. It seemed like for completed in progress or long-term ongoing in progress, 86% success rate, if I'm doing that math right. Basically 4 aren't started, so 86 are either done or on the way to done or ongoing done. That's pretty good, if you ask me, for particularly if you look at the 4 not started that you showed us on the screen, they were tended to be long-term complex ones rather than short-term easy to kick off. Fire Station 3 obviously is a very long, so none of us up here expected you to do that because that means we would have had to go buy some property and spend a bunch of money. So we would have known about that one ahead of time. But so I just want to highlight that. I think overall we've made good progress. I really appreciate this update for us. It reminds us here at the council table that the votes we're doing, because I don't know about my counterparts, but I can't even remember all the votes that I made in that time frame that this report is, and that they're all connected to something strategic. Sometimes it just feels tactical a lot, so it helps to remind us that what we're doing actually has a focused outcome that and a bigger picture that we're trying to achieve. So that's good, I think, for us. And it helps us then keep focused on, oh yeah, all these little yays and nays that we're doing up here are connected, and keeps us focused on reminding us to go look at that for our own education and our own ability to focus on what we're doing and going, that's right, this is why we're doing that. So kudos to staff, because that helps me specifically. I think it helps all of us. But I guess the kind of the last part, and then my question got answered already, which is awesome. This also informs the public, and I think that's a greater good goal here, is that what we're doing here relates to something specific that the public and us had something to do with. And I know back in 23 we had open data portal conversations about, hey, can we do that? So I was happy to hear the question from my counterpart, and happy to hear the answer that that's still on the radar and the agenda. Something version of dashboard or whatever to say, big strategic plan, lots of press, a lot of public things, this whole list of stuff. Here's actually how it's going, public. This is what your elected officials and your government is doing to try to move the community forward. And I think that's the exact kind of information we want to make sure gets out to the public so they can see the fruits of their work and partially what their investment in their own community is doing for them on their behalf. So marvelous stuff. Let's keep on it. Great. Thank you for the work.
The last thing I just wanted to add is we're talking a lot about the strategic plan tonight, which is it's our goals and our tasks on what we had defined previously as a 3 to 5 year timeline. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we have a fantastic comprehensive plan, and every council report that comes before you has a little graphic area that shows the link back to our comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan, I don't want the public to think that we've ignored that or this is all we do is our strategic plan. Again, we have a lot of adopted plans, so we're trying to figure out how they all connect. Our comprehensive plan is more than just land use. It includes important things like town-gown relationships, community identity, quality of place, neighborhood issues, economic vitality. So lots of things which are kind of bubbling underneath these 4 main categories in the strategic plan. So.
Thank you. Mr. Preston?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm glad that City Manager Reese brought up the comprehensive plan, and I believe the sustainability plan was referenced earlier in questions too. Can staff dive into a little more of the synergies to make sure that not only are we not conflicting between various, strategic plan, comprehensive plan, sustainability, and others, but that like the same priorities kind of flow between, just, for clarity. Can you talk a little bit about that process, since we do have a number of plans?
Yes, I will try. In terms of the comprehensive plan, it is a plan actually that I look at quite regularly and have little sticky notes all over the place in terms of where we're making progress and what might be on the horizon. In terms of the strategic plan, which is really our 3 to 5 year outlook, we focus on this plan before you this evening. But our comprehensive plan is more of a 20-year view. And so this is more of a shorter term snapshot, and then it's up to me ultimately, but the leadership team to make sure that whatever our objectives are and our focus for the next 3 to 5 years, that they still fall under the bigger umbrella picture of our 20-year comprehensive plan. What do we want the town of Normal to be like 20 years from now, which actually was like 20 years from 2017 when we adopted the plan. So by in 2037, what did we want the town to look like? And you might remember, I think we had 1,700 or 1,800 participants in that plan process. So at the time, it was, a very good community-driven process. We are talking about what needs to be updated to keep that plan moving for another 20 years. But I would say this comprehensive plan is just a snapshot the strategic plan for 3 to 5 years is just a snapshot under that big 20-year plan.
Okay, thanks.
Further on this item? Thank you, Jacob. Well presented. Before taking a motion for adjournment, are there concerns or comments? Ms. Smith?
I wanted to just share information that there is a Veterans Fair planned for October 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Bloomington Public Library on West Olive Drive, and it is free and open to the public. And I would encourage anyone who is a veteran or has family members or advocates that are concerned about seeing that veterans get the services they are due, I would encourage you to attend this. Thank you. Oh,
Mr. Preston? Oh, go ahead.
there is one individual that is celebrating a birthday today.
Oh, yes, I am. Thank you very much, Karen.
And she just gave herself away.
But not my age. Thank you.
Mr. Preston?
Just a welcome back from the table to the tens of thousands of now normal residents again who have come back into our community after the summer. There's always a renewed energy and enthusiasm and activity when students are here compared to the summer months when they are not. So glad to have that back in full swing.
Mr. Roberts?
I just wanted to put a plug in for the Sweet Corn Circus this weekend, 23rd and 24th. Looks like the weather should be cooperating much better than it has been for the last week or so. So look forward to seeing all of you guys out there.
Stole your thunder. Yeah. Yeah. Motion for adjournment.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Roberge?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mayor Coos?
Aye. We are adjourned.